if because I'm doing the audiobook. Oh, thank you. Okay, it's missed that wonderful little whatever, never mind. You guys heard it, that's all that matters. Um, so for me, it was really interesting because I read this years ago, probably when it first came out. And for me, the contrast between this, which was actually published like 10 years before the Small Talk one. The Small Talk was like kind of robotic, but had some valid points. And this one was much more human, and I could relate to it more. And for me, looking at this again, it was refreshing. And I actually did the exercises, and I thought, whoa, that's kind of interesting. So I've got like the pain, what's the other one? Pain power. And I thought, right. And I thought, that's easy. And I thought, hang on, what about all the other areas? And that was very revealing. So I actually really like it. It's a wake-up call. And what I especially like is to have something that's refreshing, to actually have my brain twist around from another angle and not take what I assume for granted. So, and have a little ass kicking up my butt, you know, to just remind me of the things that are really important and to not bullshit myself. Sorry, as you guys are going to get to know, I have no problem painting the ceiling blue, what comes out of my mouth, but never mind. I'll try not to offend anyone. I love the thing about a risk a day, getting out of the comfort zone, and also the different ways you can be a victim. The subtle little ways you can actually victimize yourself. A lot of this was very old hat, but I still thought, I'm trying to looking at the little payoffs that people have. And this is the thing, an audiobook, I don't know what was 75 pages. I just had to guess it. So I don't know if I've gone past or ahead or something. What the challenge would be, see if you can go I don't know if you guys have read this yet. See if you can go 1 week without criticizing or complaining about anything, even the smallest thing. Being in your car, someone's passing you. Do you say, oh, and they're cutting you off? Do you do that with grace, or do you kind of lose your rag? Lots of little things, little things. And what was the other one? And I love that I am, what was it? I'm trying to think what she said. The little words, I'm trying to think of something I am, maybe you guys will remember it because it was in the beginning of the book. I can't remember it. I deserve. Yeah, go for it, Arlene. Go for it.
You mean the sentence where she says, I'll handle it?
No, it was more like, I think I am something about I am loving, I'm loved, I am loving, and I love, or something like that. It was something about just changing it. It wasn't her wording. I can't even find it. I really liked it, but I can't remember it. But I did try saying it.
I am powerful and I am loved. I am powerful and I am loving. I am powerful and I love it.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I love that. I absolutely love that. I think that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So I thought it was a great choice, and I'm looking forward to going with the rest of it. And I'd love to hear the take on each of you, whatever you thought about and felt about it.
Well, I'll follow that up. So, yes, this has been like, it's kind of been a little bit of a roller coaster. I've been trying to figure out what this book really is. And I've had little part, like when it started, like, oh, this could be really interesting. And then I'm like, all right, this is kind of redundant. And then it's getting really good. And it's just kind of been all like, so it's been kind of a mixed bag for me as we're getting into it. To answer your question, it's in this version of it, anyways, the new and revised or whatever, revised and updated. Because I did see, yeah, it originally came out in 1987, and then it's had its different updates, and I do crack up because the audiobook, it doesn't match up with this new revised one. And even something as simple as just changing the name, it's like in the book it's Joan, but on the audiobook it's Janet. Like, is that a more modern updated name? I don't know. Like, whatever. But
Or one was a guy name and one was a girl name.
yeah, I've seen some of that stuff, and like there are sections that are missing. All that said, like overall from the content, my absolute favorite chapter is, and it was through there's this last one here, chapter 5, The Return of the Optimist, which I preferred over the audiobook of Being Pollyannish. Just that was so that's where it was through is that was my favorite chapter of this one here. And again, just the power of the positive thinking. We've seen, and like you alluded to, there's those other books, and we've read that one here, The Power of Positive Thinking, and just how big of a difference. And that's arguably one of the big things. And I give Book Club a lot of credit to that over since this started in 2019, and just some of the other practices and practicing of gratitude. And every day I do write down 10 things that I'm grateful for, and just what a difference that has. And again, it was just another solid reinforcement of that practice and how it truly can. If you like, what's that old, is it the Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Like, just what are you thinking? What are you putting out there? Is in the life that you like, why are you looking at, you have a choice every day in every situation that comes up on how are you going to handle it. You can choose your reaction to it. And like she alluded to in a little bit of an earlier chapter, you can't control every experience that happens to you, but you can absolutely choose your reaction to what that experience is going to be. And I think that is so powerful. And I mean, there are certain things that, they're just absolutely devastating that'll happen, whether it is the loss of a loved one or a pet or whatever. I mean, I think the last time I truly was bawling my eyes out was when we had to put our dog down 2 years ago, like for hours. And it was funny because she gave me a hard time on, and again, like I said, I'm literally saying it's funny when we put the dog. No,
It's not
but
funny.
it's not funny we had to put the dog down. It was funny. She's like, because you did actually love her. It's like, yeah, I did. Like, because it was her dog. It was this half Chihuahua, half Dachshund that came with Crystal. I didn't have a choice in it when we started dating. Like, the dog came with her. But yeah, no,
You
it
don't
was.
have a choice.
Yes, you have a choice. No, and I did. But like those things happen to you. But what is your response going to be to something like that? And so, choosing to live life as the glass half full individual, like I just think that was a great reminder through that. So that's the one that resonated the most with me of what this first part has been. I do think it is important to call out your fears. That yes, you can overcome anything. A big part of it, like she was talking about, take action. That is you're going to suck at something when you start it. Don't let that stop you from starting. You're going to get better. And again, it's just that good reminder of anytime I'm looking at starting something new or whatever, it's like, yeah, of course I'm going to suck. But wait, when I first started off in insurance 15 years ago, I sucked. I got a lot better, a heck of a lot better. And ultimately, take the time, do those repetitions, as she talked about with her class when she had to teach that one class. And she was so over prepared and nervous as all get out. But by the second time, it got a little easier. By the third time, it got even easier. And by the sixth time, it was just absolutely wonderful. And I think back even to book club. This was an analogy I was thinking of when we were reading it. When we first started, this was goofy. And it was like getting on a Zoom call to have a conversation with strangers. Like, well, I don't know. What is this? Like, what are they going to think? I don't care what you guys think. Like, these are my takeaways. And I love learning from it. Like, this is such a highlight. And so, just showing up, doing it, you will get better. And so, like I said, overall, I will look at this on the positive side. I am enjoying the book. It hasn't been the most riveting one we've ever read. I don't think it's going to crack the top 5 of what we've done in book club so far, but it is still a good one. I'm enjoying the read so far.
Can anybody ever follow you?
Well, I'm just excited. It's book club.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the book so far as well. I think it's a lot of kind of like the couple of past books that we've been reading of just little reminders for day-to-day just life. I really like chapter 3 the most when she talks about kind of just retraining your thinking on fear. There's those who let fear become hopelessness, despair, in movement, things like that. And then there's those who fear. What is fear, right? Because they take action. And I think I liked her point where she said everybody feels it. They just feel it differently. It's how they've trained themselves to think about it. And I think that's totally correct. Like I'm an action taker. I take action. But does that mean I haven't felt fear before I've taken that action, or something where maybe like fear means something a little different to me? taking action on new things, that doesn't always incite fear, but I may have hesitations. But again, it's how I've trained myself to think. Whereas, like, when I think of the word fear, I think of things like going down crazy water slides or jumping off a cliff or skydiving. Like, those things incite fear versus life experiences and taking a move on something in my business or in my personal life or new stages of life. That doesn't necessarily equate to fear, but again, I think it's how we've trained ourselves to think about the word. And so yeah, I really like chapter 3 when she talks about that, where fear is not the problem. It's how you've trained yourself to think about it. We all feel it to some degree, and kind of just like how we hold it. And then it goes into the I am powerful and I am loved. I am powerful and I am loving. I am powerful and I love it. I loved that escalation of the phrases and the statements there. Yeah, I think it's a great book so far. I agree. Like, I don't think there's anything that is truly like, oh, I haven't heard this before. But there's a few implementations that I like the positive affirmations and the optimism and everything like that. So good book.
Okay, I like to talk because I just want it comes right with what you were saying. So for those of you that don't know, I'm a pediatrician. I know Jay through LifeWave. And I think I never in my life thought that I would join a multi-level marketing company ever, ever. Like whenever somebody told me about like Tupperware or Herbalife or Mary Kay, God forbid, I wanted to run away. I'm not going to lie to you that 10 years ago, my cousin came to me to talk to me about a skincare company called Rodan Fields. And I was like, sure, I'll buy stuff from you, I'll support you, whatever you sell, poor you're at home, you don't have a job, I'll buy it from you. Honestly, that was my thought. Then she came and said, hey, you can do this as a business. I'm like, no way. It's one of those things. I would never do that. Then I was reading a book that I'm sure all of you guys have read it. This is the book club, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, whatever. I'm a doctor. I don't read any books. I hadn't. Now I do. But I used to not read any books unless it was biology, biochemistry, and all those things because there was no time to read anything. So a friend of mine gave me that book when I quit my job. We used to work at Texas Children's, a big hospital, and I was miserable. And I think, and I don't know if my brain is different because maybe, and all I'm getting to this is, as I was reading this, all I could think about was my husband, because he's actually just going through changing his job and it's taking him years to make that decision. So for me, maybe because my mind, I used to be a dancer before I was a doctor. So I think that maybe I have a little bit more of an artistic, like my brain just works a little bit differently, not like a normal doctor. I would say like my husband is like, he's meant to be a doctor. Like that's it. Like that's his brain. So when I quit my job, I started literally having 3,000 patients to having zero. And I was like sitting in an office that I had no idea what I was going to do. I literally like Googled LLC, opened up an LLC. I mean, like to me, thankfully, I had the financial support of my husband. So it wasn't like I needed to make money to like eat. And a friend of mine gave me that book. And in that book, it talked about if you want to learn how to market yourself, you should join a network marketing company. And so that's the reason why I joined Rodan Fields, because I'm like, well, I have no idea what I'm doing here. And I do have to say that what you said is how you train your mind about fear. And I think that all that to say that's kind of the one thing that I got from that. I never did a huge business. I never became a millionaire. I never whatever, but I would go to all these trainings. And I do tell people, I don't think my practice would be the same place where it was if it wasn't for Rodan Fields, just because of like meetings and things and how I train my mind. And so to me now, I agree with you that I'm not fearful of making a decision about business or whatever. I agree. I'm more fearful of like what could happen to my kids. I don't know, like are they going to be successful? Like am I being a good mom? Like those things I'm more fear about. But for my husband, I think it's more business related. So like when it said all you have to do is diminish your fear to develop more trust in your ability to handle whatever comes your way, is that uncertainty that I think like kills him. Like everything has to be perfect. Like if I'm going to make a move, it's because I know it's going to work and it's going to work correctly. So he's been in the same hospital that I was at, miserable for years. And I've been trying to get him out and no, no, no. And finally, because almost the whole practice, 6 out of the 9 doctors got together and decided to leave. I think that's the only reason that they kind of pushed him out. And so he finally quit his job last week. Like, I'm seriously want him to read this book. He quit his job last week and it was like months of planning. And now he's like, holy crap, I have 3 months. He had to give 90 days notice. And what is it going to be like? And every time we pass that hospital, because it's a new hospital, he's like, yep, I'm going to be here in the 20th floor. I mean, he's been in the other hospital for 15 years. So it's interesting that you got, for me, that you guys pick this. And as I'm reading, yes, I've heard a lot of these things too in the past through just trainings and things and podcasts. Not him. Like I'm wondering if he'll read it. I'm going to give it to him to see if he'll take the time to read it. But it is interesting. I think it's once you train your mind and you open your mind to listen to other things. I do agree with Crystal that that you are able to train your mind to not, to take action and not be paralyzed by what if type of things. So I liked it.
I'll just hit on one thing that you said. It is amazing through the last 7 years of doing this now, the amount of times that a book, random as enough as it seems, that shows up in book club is hitting life perfectly with where you're at the moment. Like it has happened on way more than one occasion. It's an awesome thing about it.
Cool.
I'd like to pitch in something on that as well, because what you were saying, Catherine, about the only books you ever read are like all the reference books. The same's true for me because I'm been a health practitioner for years, and it's just stuff anatomy, physiology, fascial planes, you name it, cellular structures, the blah, blah, blah. This is the first book that I have read that's not been related to anything that has to do with the body for years. And so that was another reason why I joined the book club. I thought, I mean, I watch Netflix, all right, so I get it that way, but to actually take time, well, I'm cheating because it's the audio book, but I totally related to that. And I have a suggestion for your husband. If you take the book and you stick it underneath his pillow while he's sleeping, by osmosis, if you put your intention into the book and say, I wish for this to just permeate his cells, and when his lymphatic system's working through the night and he's rest and repair, it's going to go in. And then in the next morning, he will wake up and say, Eureka, I'm okay about this new venture. Anyway, it's just a suggestion.
Yeah, I should have gotten the audiobook and then played it because we drove to our lake house this weekend. I should have gotten the audiobook and just made him listen, although he's really good at like tuning out things. Like my kids could be screaming and yelling, and maybe it's a guy thing. I think it's a guy thing because how can you? And the kids are like, Mom, my kids are old. It doesn't matter. They're 19 and 16. They're still like they're 5 and 7. And it's Mom, and they're screaming, and I'm looking at him and he's like he's in a yoga class. I'm like, do not hear what's going on. No, I guess it's a guy thing. You guys can just tune things out, and we don't have that capability in our brains.
Yeah, we can tune things out, and you guys can listen to 5 different conversations at the same time. So it's just like it's a man and a woman thing. You guys can hear other conversations and be in conversations where we can only listen to one or none. We have that gift as well if we're not interested.
You can still put the audiobook under his pillow. That would probably work best, actually. He will actually subconsciously.
Well, I'll let you guys know next week if he touches it at all.
Well, I'll jump in really quick. There was something that Crystal said, right? She was saying about how the different things you fear, and then it reminded me of I don't know if it was like a guy who was like a public speaker or whatever, where he said that the same fear and excitement are like worked in the same way in your brain or whatever, or it's like in the same area of your brain. So when I was reading the book, right, and I'm thinking like, okay, I don't really think of like things that I'm like, oh, I'm fearful of this or I'm fearful of that, like actual doing things, I guess I would say. If I do it and it doesn't work out, I'm like, all right, anyways, I'm not gonna try that again. Like I might quit, but I might not be scared to try it. But it reminded me of that, like, okay, how do I, the whole rethinking of I can handle anything, but how about we refrain or retrain our thinking to make it feel like something more exciting? Like, I'm going to start a new business, or like your husband, Catherine, like, I'm going to work in that building and just get excited about it instead of like, I got to quit this job. Because there was even a quote that was like, oh, I don't even know what I'm going to do tomorrow. And they're like, oh, how lucky are you that you don't know, because the days are so random and the opportunities are vast and everything like that. So that's what this book reminded me of. And the one thing that I just want to point out that I highlighted, it was, as I began to do things on my own, I began to taste the deliciousness of an emerging self-confidence. It wasn't all comfortable. In fact, a lot of it was extremely uncomfortable. I felt like a child learning to walk and falling frequently, but with each step, I felt a little surer of my ability to handle my life. And then, like, right underneath that, he's like, and then once I did that and I started the next thing, I thought fear wouldn't come to me, but as I grow, the fear will always be there. And I guess, I'll start using the word excitement. As I grow, the excitement will always be there of like what comes next, and like, oh, the next level is going to bring something different, something better. So, like you guys said, it's not it's not some profound book or anything like that. And actually, Ron sent me that little note. He couldn't come because he was flying today, but he did said he was a good book. Wasn't anything like, you know, life changing or anything, but he said that he really likes it. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to see how much more of fear we're gonna get into, because like, how much more fear can there be? Even though she does address that in the book, like if there was nothing to fear, or if you knew you could handle everything, like would you even fear anything at all? Who knows? But liking it.
You're so funny. How much more fear could there be? I think that's great. Uh, so I'll jump in real quick. So I think there could be a lot more fear. I don't know, maybe. But just like everybody else, I think that the takeaways are pretty similar. So the things that kind of really stood out to me really were that I wrote down were the power of positivity, just like you had said, Chris. So for me, well, the book reminded me a long time about brought me back to different stages of my life where I didn't think I was strong enough to do certain things or whatever, and then you realize that you are, and you make these decisions and changes in your life, and then each milestone, if you will, each different chapter of your life becomes a fear checkoff point, right? Or you can say that you did something or something you didn't think you would do before. And then I've always trained my mind, if you will, to be more positive than to focus on negative. And I had a leader of mine a long time ago always said to just lead with that everybody go off of good intentions, that everybody has positive intentions at some point in time. So, which has got me in trouble and also has been good in some ways, I guess, depending on how you look at it. But the power of positivity for me has been almost like a changing of my whole life, just because I look at it from a different angle. I try not to be negative at all, but I obviously can't do it all the time. But the power of positivity is a real thing. You really can train your mind to focus on certain things, and to try to find the good instead of finding the bad. And that has stayed with, like, I made a really big life decision about 2 years ago now, and that has kind of fed into these new chapters of everything. And this book has just reminded me that I'm stronger than I think I am, but also that there's still a lot of work to do. So I think that has been a good way for me to look at it. So I'm enjoying, and I think I say this now for the past 5 books, but I think these past five books consecutively have all been little reminders of things that we should be doing, but we maybe forget about, and little things, or maybe we're not focusing on them as much as we should, or just kind of put it in the back of our brains. So for me, they've been good little reminders of things that I need to incorporate more into my life and look at a little bit differently, whether big, small, whatever it might be. So I think that this is one of those examples where it's, again, reminding me the power of training my mind, because it's something that I continually work on a daily basis. So I really do enjoy the little, like, tidbits here and there. So I like it, and I'm practicing them. So it's been a good one for me so far.
I can jump in now. Thank you, Justin. I will admit I just downloaded it last night, so I only got page 19. But let me see the beginning. I thought I kind of related when she was saying that when she teaches her class, that she would ask the students, like, what's your fear? What's your fear? La la la. But like, as a hairdresser, I've heard all these fear stories in different ways, so it's kind of interesting. And then I liked how she kind of put the fears in different levels. Like, for my brain, it's just, I get a whole big cloud of, like, just fears. So the fact that she kind of prioritizes the fear kind of thing, it was kind of interesting. Let me see what else. one of the things when you're AUDHD, like I notice patterns. So like, really, everyone has the same kind of everyone has problems. It's just different colors, right? I won't say it the way that I normally say it, but most people worry about things they can't control. So, I just kind of notice and I noticed the pattern of in all, like you said, Justin, like all the different books we had, it's all choice. So the skill that I'm still learning is letting go of the exposure to it. So, I haven't watched the news for probably 25 years, actual sensationalized news. I've definitely got rid of fear-mongering people, which I come from the Catholic Church, so it's that's a lot of fear and guilt with that, with my mother. Let me see. Yeah, a lot of nagging there too. I like the positive statement that the I am powerful, I am love, I am loving, powerful. I have one that I say every day, and it's I am who I am, and that is enough. I say that to myself all the time because I can be too much for a lot of people. Let's see, you can't worry about things you can't control. My husband always says that. You can't worry about the things you can't control. And as we know, life is always going to throw curveballs. Even if it's a wedding plan or a birth plan or whatever, it's always going to change. So focus on what you can and your choices. I like the part of the go out and do it. And that kind of reminded me of Eric Worre, where he always talks about, if you don't know how to do something, do more of it, right? So if you're worried about if you don't know how to talk to people, talk to more people, right? It's just so obvious. Let me see what else. I like the chapter that you brought up about Pollyanna, the Pollyanna-ish behavior, because I really looked into energy stuff because of what we do in this frequency device stuff that we do, and we really do put out a energetic frequency of everything that we do. So there's so much information online. I get literally doom scrolly. So I have to stop the doom scroll. Really, when you say doom scroll, it really is doomy out there, right? So I have to focus on the good stuff. So I actually made a post today about how after 2019, when I had retinal detachment in both my eyes, I literally couldn't see. And so that forced me to stop, and then it started this recovery journey. And so I actually came out today to refocus on and come back as the different person. And part of that journey was reflecting on when you think about when you were 20 and all the challenges that you had when you were going through to where you are today. If you actually write them down, it's quite a lot for most people, right? When you actually think of all the things that you've actually overcome, and that if you're feeling in a moment of weakness, you can always look at that list. Let me see. And then what you were talking about, Crystal, with the chapter 3, retraining your mind. I didn't get to that chapter, but you just kind of reminded me of most people's mindsets are developed by 0 to 7, and it's usually from your parents. So it is all about untraining that mind. Let me see. Yeah, and I think that was it for my kind of takeaways. Is when you have neurodiversity, real neurodiversity in this neurotypical world, things are really, really tough. And that's the reflection that I've been doing, and doing that list was really helpful. And I feel if more people did that, I think the world would be probably a bit of a happier place, just because we really do forget, because it's such a distracting world right now. So yeah, that's my this week's takeaway.
Hi everyone. I came in a little late, but it's great to see y'all. Is there anyone else who hasn't gone, or shall I go? Okay, will do. Thank you. When I go through and I'm reading, I take these copious amounts of notes. So just forgive me as I'm also looking down at my notes and trying to pull out the kind of things that I need to share. So one thing that I came across at the very beginning is making no decision is a decision. And I've definitely noticed that in my life, that sometimes by not making a decision, I'm also just saying, oh, just let it unfold, just let life happen. But it's actually a decision I'm making. So that's something that I'm well aware of. Another thing that I describe myself is, and maybe about 15 years ago, I was going through a bit of some tough times. And if I could drive a car with 2 feet, I have 1 foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. So there's a part of me that really, really does want to move forward, but then there's something a little bit deeper that keeps me from holding back. So that's where I'm trying to learn how to just keep the foot on the gas, and then the same foot can go on the brake, but just to kind of try and not be quite so polar with the way I feel about things, so that fear doesn't keep holding me back. What else have I got? Intellectually, I know that I need to get rid of the fear and that I can do something, but like I say, it still is preventing me sometimes from taking action. Another thing that I say often is that when I feel better about myself, then I'll do it. And right now, even though I have confidence in many things that I do, there's still some deep underlying confidence that I'm lacking. So that's what I'm working on. And I'm really enjoying the book. I'm finding it's pulling things out of me that I really want and I really need. As you said, Chris, yeah, sometimes something comes into your life at the right time, and that's what I'm feeling right now. We can't escape fear, but we transform it into a companion, not an anchor, not something holding us back. And that's another thing, just to get used to feeling the fear. But yeah, as the book says, not letting it hold us back. Then we talk about power within oneself. And like I said, sometimes I do feel that paralysis of not making a decision and just letting life take me down the journey, which doesn't always work for me. So I want to try and feel like I can harness that power. I also notice that there's other people may point out all these things that, oh my God, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. But I'm always downplaying the things that I think are powerful. And so I need to try and recognize all of those things in myself. Our comfort zone. Oh, yes. Someone pointed this out to me very recently, Arlene, that, I know I had a bit of a comfort zone, but maybe I didn't realize just how stuck I am in it. And even though I want certain things, I've built a comfort zone, and I've built this life that I'm relatively happy in, but not all aspects of it. So it's kind of like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz and her ruby shoes, her ruby slippers. I have the power within me. I can do it. And I just need to figure out how to tap into that power. What else have I got here to share? Taking responsibility is generally, I feel like I take responsibility, and I think that's something a lot of us can be aware of. But just trying to understand, like, well, if I'm not blaming my others, I'm not blaming myself. Like, I'm not overly religious, so I believe in God, but sometimes when I need someone or something to blame, I just call it life. It's not a person, it's just a thing. And so sometimes, yeah, I have to figure out who's responsible, and ultimately this book is telling me it's me, so I'm trying to figure that out. And attitude, I think it's how we view it and how we interpret things. So once again, it's the messages I can tell myself. And I know sometimes, like, let's say I'm going to meet with someone, or I haven't seen someone in a while, or a family member or something, and I'll get this story in my mind, and I'll get very defensive, and I'll be like ready for, a verbal fight. And then I'll see them and nothing happens. And it's all that wasted energy that I've kind of built something up in my mind, and it doesn't happen. And I've been all uptight about it, but they're not even thinking about it. Like, it's not even on their radar. So I've just worked myself up. I've spent all this energy that's just not helping me, but it's not even something that matters to them. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this book. I'm really enjoying the book club. So thank y'all.
Thank you guys for showing up. This book made me feel old because I was listening to the audio and reading it, and the amount of times that she said cassette tapes, like, it was just a little bit too much. And then I was thinking, I don't think that Audible was available when cassette tapes were available. So I'm just like, when did she read this thing? And did she read it like way after and then did an update and didn't update it? So that was throwing me off a little bit and making me feel old. And then it made me think of an Instagram story that I saw, two kids trying to figure out how to get a cassette tape to work in a cassette player. And they were actually sticking the whole thing, because I don't know if you guys remember, the cassettes used to come in like a little box, and they were trying to stick the whole box in the little cassette thing, and they could not figure out how to get this thing to work. So I really like this book. You know, I mean, a lot of these things I live by, and what I find when I read these books is they're just either, you know, validation for the way that I think sometimes, and reminders of maybe how I need to tweak my thinking on certain days. Because I feel like, you know, for me, one of the things that she talks about in here is just getting to a place of peace, right? And I don't know that many people live in peace, and including me. I think that I'm probably one of the most positive people that I know and I've met, but I don't think I ever wake up in the morning in peace. Like, I don't ever wake up and just think, you know, like, woohoo, I can't wait for today to start, because I have always so many things to do. And I would like to get to a place of where when I have those thoughts, I immediately am overcome with peace. And that's a goal from this book, I think, that I'm trying to work on myself. Now, once I get up and out of bed and I'm moving, it's a completely different story. But I would just like that segment between when my body wakes up, my brain wakes up, and I actually get up, to have that peace in the morning. That's the thought that I had this morning. And then I read this book. And I think that peace comes from the fear of uncertainty, which you talked about, Dr. Catherine. Like, uncertainty, and really certainty is the killer of all growth. You know, so like, and the thing is there is nothing certain, right? Life is not certain. Our health is not certain. Money is not certain. You know, freedom in the United States of America is not certain. Like, nothing is certain, you know? And as soon as you can become okay with that and just know, like she said, whatever comes your way, you're going to be okay, right? You're going to be able to find a way to work through it. And I think that helps with peace. But, you know, when you've built a life and you love your life, and then something threatens that certainty, or threatens that, you know, comfort that you have, I think that's where that takes your peace away. Because, you know, I feel like as you get older, you realize there is no such thing as certainty, which kind of takes your peace away. You know, you wake up with a pain, or you wake up with something not feeling right in your body, and you're just like, huh. You know, it's kind of a reminder and a punch in the gut that, you know, nothing is certain in life, and something could go wrong at any moment. And so, but I like what she says in here, that the fear will never go away as long as you continue to grow, right? So that fear of certainty, that fear of, you know, what the future is going to hold. And fear really, I believe, and she speaks about this in the book, fear lives in the future. And 99% of the things that we fear are never going to happen. But we, you know, and we know that, like, if you go back and, you know, write these things down, and I'm not sure if it was Arlene or someone said that writing things down that happened in your life, or things that you overcome, like, if you go back and really think about when you're in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, the things that you feared that never happened, it was 99% of them. That you worried about a breakup, you worried about getting sick, you worried about, you know, all these things that never ever happened, you know, your business falling apart. So, and really, like what I talked about earlier about getting out of bed in the morning and not having that peace or having that fear of the future, the only way to feel better is to actually go out and do it. Go out and make things happen, because then you forget, because you're in the moment of it, right? And so, and then she says the fear will never, oops, let me see here. What just happened? The fear will never go away as long as I continue to grow. The only way to get rid of the fear, do things, is go out and do it. The only way to feel better about myself is to go out and do it. Not only am I going to experience fear whenever I'm unfamiliar territory, but so is everyone else. And this is the crazy thing, you know, like last week I had a really big meeting with a really big company last week, and I called my wife and I was like, I'm never nervous before a meeting like that. And I was nervous. I literally had, and the reason I was nervous is because I wanted it to go well. And so my fear was I wasn't going to have the outcome that I was hoping and expecting to have, right? And so golf, I'll use an analogy in golf with my coach. I've been known in the past to get very angry at shots that I made that are stupid, that are mishit or whatever. And, I've been known to throw a club or two, farther than I hit the ball sometimes, out of anger, he would just look at me and he was like, so the thing that you have and the reason that you get angry is because the result, you have an expectation for a result, and when you don't hit that result, that makes you angry. And you can't have that, right? You can't, every result is not going to be what you want it to be. And so if it's not, then you have to get your mind back to the place of, I know how to swing a club, I know how to hit a golf ball. And this analogy applies to everything in life, right? When something doesn't go well, maybe I wasn't as articulate, maybe I left something out, but you walk away from that and you get another shot, right? There's not only one shot for anything. There's multiple shots. Whatever you believe in, the universe, God, in that moment, it wasn't meant for you. And so I go to this meeting, they take us on a tour, and, they talk about having this other opportunity that I didn't know that they had for their company. And as they're showing me, I'm like, ooh, and then I'm like, okay, calm down. You can't talk about that right now because you're here to talk about this, and then it's going to seem greedy. And then they brought it up in the meeting, right? Because the universe was ready, God was ready for me to have this opportunity. So, and then the last thing I loved with this is now I know that when I'm angry at my husband or wife, what I am not doing in my life that I could be doing that I am blaming him for or her not doing for me. Read that one time again. I'm now quickly able to tune in to what it is. Either I'm being obsessive about money, or I'm feeling insecure, or I'm not creating enough activity for myself, or I'm expecting him to make it all better, or her, something I'm not handling well, or whatever it is, right? And so projecting, right? So when you have something, when you project something onto other people, maybe just look in the mirror and maybe it's not you, or maybe it's not them, maybe it's you. And so that was a good self-reflection for me in this book. So I really enjoyed the book. I mean, again, some of the stuff, you might know, but I feel like when we read in this book club, when you say 7 years, hey, baby, I love you. Give me 1 minute. I'm getting ready to get off, okay? So I can say hey to you. When we read these books, it's 7 years. I was thinking 10 years, in 3 years from now, we'll be doing this 10 years. And imagine, what you said, Pixie, I only read books on this topic, and this allows us to kind of stretch outside of that zone and really what we just talked about on the last call. I mean, the mindset, this is all really mindset, right? I mean, this book is all mindset. I mean, this is the biggest demon, devil, thing in our heads that can take us down really, really dark roads. And, we can have a lot of knowledge. I think about, 1 second, baby, stay. I think about, Dr. Catherine, a very, intelligent woman that, went to school for a very long time, works with children, and she's on this call, right? She is still growing, she is still learning, and still at this point in her life where a lot of doctors, I have doctor friends, right? I mean, I call her Dr. Catherine all the time because she earned the title. I have friends that, demand that I call them doctor, because they earn the title. And, she's like, you don't have to call me doctor. And just the ego that she doesn't have to be in this book club, to grace us with her presence and give us her feedback is amazing, as well as all of you, right? I mean, Chris, you are the most consistent person that I've ever met in my entire life, being here. And now you got Crystal in, you ran one half marathon, and then you got her to do this for the rest of her life. It was a great negotiation tool that you used there. But it's just amazing that we can do this together, and I want to do this for the rest of my life because I will tell you, Arlene, the best way to digest these books for me is to just commit to read 15 pages every day. or listen to 15 pages every day, because then you won't get behind and you won't be downloading at last minute. Because for me, that pressure and stress is just too much, because I like to, I don't want to show up in here and not have anything and not be able to talk anything. So, but thank you for inviting people in, and bringing this in, because I feel like it's, if we can impact people through knowledge and mindset and help people think better, and, Dr. Catherine going to give this gift to her husband if he takes it, I mean, there's a lot of gifts I've been able to give my wife and say, hey, this is a really good book, and they go out and read it. I mean, that's really what the gift of this book club is to just really help as many people as we can to think differently. And that's what books do, is it just gives us knowledge and helps us think differently. So thank you guys so much.
Can I ask a question? Being
Yes.
on the audiobook, what's the next 75 pages in terms of the chapters? Because I have no way of knowing pages. just have to guess it by the number of
Yeah,
hours.
so it
the
looks
audiobook
like
is.
chapter to the 77 starts when they don't want to grow.
Which
and I can
chapter
tell
number
you-
is that?
That's
you get
6.
if you finish chapter 9 finishes on page 148. So the last chapter of this section will be just nod your head and say yes.
The
Yeah.
last one is just nod your head. And
Yeah,
which
so
chapter?
chapter 10 that's where we would stop, choosing love and trust.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
that'll
nod
be
your head.
the start of the third week.
Okay, so just nod your head and say, yes, that's the end. So when I reach that one, if I complete it or I stop before it?
Yeah,
Which one?
complete that one.
Yeah,
Complete
complete
it.
chapter 9.
Okay, because that's all I get is the chapters and then the minutes and the hours. So I've been trying to do math, okay, which has not always been my strong point, and going home and say, how many minutes is that going to be per, how many pages per? Oh, Jesus. So, okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
just send us a text in the chat thread, and just make sure everyone's in the chat thread. Lola, the book club, add Pixie and Rhonda if they're not there, and then we can also put that in there and let you know for people that are listening to Audible.
Awesome. And I just posted the next 3 book based on the poll that we did on Facebook. So that's the next 3 in that order. And then I'll post it on Facebook as soon as we're done here too.
Okay, Lola, I don't think I'm in that chat. So if you can add me, I think you send it to me individually. That'd be great. So that way, that's
Awesome.
not extra work for you.
Awesome. I'll send it to you right now.
All
And
right,
for
guys.
those you're going to be at Destin, I'm really looking forward to seeing you face to face.
Yay,
Yes, me too.
I'll be there.
Yes.
Thanks,
Squares.
beautiful people.
Bye,
Hey,
guys.
Jay, can you stay behind just 2 minutes? I have a
Yes.
quick question. Okay,
Yes.
thanks. How are you?
Bye-bye.
Have a great week.